Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and this is issue number 68 of Build the T800, the Terminator, half-scale partwork model kit from Hachette and Studio Canal. In this issue, we will be fitting the ankle to the right leg. So yes, here we go. The parts we received today, or this week, or this month, depending on how you're building it, are here, and thusly we have the 68 one is the lower leg connector, a lower leg connector. 3 is an ankle joint ball and an ankle joint socket. Bag of screws and washers, and no, just screws. A single washer in there as well, and 2 more little plastic sort of sealing washery type pivot things that fit into the tube to stop it sliding in and out. What do they call it? 5. They call it rubber washers. Fair enough, that does the job. So I shall move those to one side. I shall engage the small picture-in-picture artifact on the corner of your screen, just here, to show you step 1, which is cutting the shorter leg connectors from the sprue, smoothing any rough edges. So let's get these off of here. There's no, yes, they're right up against the plastic. The 2 short ones we're going to take off here. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to take the long one off, because I know we're going to have to do it, and I don't like having it on the sprue. While I'm doing the cutting off, I might as well do the cutting off. So we now lose the sprue. We shall just use a brief sanding stick, just a little bit, to get rid of the rough edges on that. I was able to cut quite closely with nippers, and I don't want to mess up the sort of chrome plating that they put on these plastic parts too badly, because it's going to make it look a bit rough, if that is visible. I'm not sure yet exactly how visible this is going to be. I assume quite. So all in all, this issue I'm not overly happy with quite yet. These are a bit seam liney, and yeah, fairly large nub marks there, quite exposed, so hopefully not going to be very visible. I might have to come up with a way of touching those up with some sort of chrome to make it match in. So we'll put the big one to one side, because we shouldn't be using that yet. What we're going to do is get the 2 washers. They come in 2 sizes apparently. Oh no, fit the larger recess in the rubber washer over the end. Alright, one side's got a very thin interior recess, and the other side has a bigger, thicker recess. So that goes over there and is held in place with one of these screws. Let's get the bag open, tip them all out, and then see exactly what we have. We have a couple of big screws, a couple of little screws, and several of the type that I'm going to be using now, which has got like a built-in washer onto it. So that goes in there, and tightens in place. Do not over tighten the screw, but ensure that the screws cannot come off. Yeah, that's on there quite tight, quite securely. I can do the same with the other one. I don't know that it says to do that quite yet. I'm sort of skipping through the instructions, but oh yes, step 3 indeed. Repeat for the second one. There we go. Now you may notice I unscrewed it first until I felt it sort of slip a little bit. That's a good way of making sure it lines up properly in the hole, instead of trying to go, you know, at an angle. Right, so there we go, we have that done. Then step 4, we are removing more parts from the sprue. Let's do that again. Once again, I'm just going to cut off as close to the part as I can get to save lots of cleanup. Get rid of the sprue, don't need that anymore. But there is still going to be a bit of cleanup around there. Again, hopefully not an overly visible part. It's going to be at the foot as well, which helps. Obviously, it's not going to be a part of the model that's going to draw the eye very much. But yeah, and this is going to be obviously the inside as a ball joint, so I'm not too concerned about that. Just need to make sure it's smooth so it can rotate. Right, we're removing the ankle part, smoothing any rough edges, checking that the flat edge of 68.3, we're talking about it So it doesn't look quite like that, but they've already got that inserted, have they? I can't quite tell. Yes, the flat edge they've got up there lines up with the screw hole. Yes, it does indeed. Fit the ball into the socket. You'll need to push it firmly until it clicks in place. So we're going to go quite strongly into there. That's moving but not clicked in yet. I'm going to push down. There it goes. I felt that give that last bit, I think. It's not really rotating like a ball joint should. Maybe it's not fully in. Let's try a bit more. It's got a bit of move to it, but not very much. Maybe it'll be easier with a longer something attached to it. We'll have a look in a moment and see. Right, we're taking the leg assembly from previously, which is indeed here. Now, you might notice it's not got the rest of the body attached to it. That was a deliberate part of my act on my part, because it's going to be much easier to try and build the foot onto a leg or lower leg rather than trying to build it onto the entire model. So I'm going to continue on that trend as it comes to doing the arm and the other leg, because that's just so much easier. So we're taking this from here. We are fitting that in there. Right, that's where the screw hole has got to line up with that screw hole, and we're going to use one of these small screws to hold that in place. Right, I don't know, this is obviously just an internal part for this part, so yeah, whatever works. It fits in there quite securely, because there is obviously you can't really see, but a D-shaped hole in there that lines up with that on there. So we get that in, get that screw. Just going to sort of feel my way to see if it is actually going into that hole, which yes, that definitely is. So there we go, that's that. Gone into there, so that's now secure in there, and that will, that will move around a bit. That's, you don't want it to be loose, because obviously it's going to be the ankle attached to that. So yes, so that's that. Fitted the parts together with that screw. Now we are getting the tubes, and indeed the third tube as well. Right, let's pay attention to the wordings here. Remove the longer leg connector from the sprue and smooth any rough edges. Fit 68.1 into leg part 64.2. Right, let's just try and match it up with what we've got there. We've always got the big tube, which is different. So that's that one goes in there and has some wobble, but yeah, we'll worry about that in a minute. The other two go in there and have less wobble because of having the rubber washer on there, but there's still a lot of play down this end. Okay, we'll see what happens here. We're taking the ankle assembly, and right, the centre of that goes onto the centre of that way up, because again we've got the D shape cut out. So is that the back? Yes, it looks like that's the back of the leg. So that's going to go in there. That's got to be rotated a little bit so that matches up with that. So we can just turn that, hopefully, a little bit. Should be able to turn it because we can rotate it, move it around a little bit. So yeah, there you go. Just so that lines up a little bit better with that. So that goes onto there. It fits over the recess. Indeed it does. Then we have these all click onto the ball joints down there. So yeah, they're at the back of the leg, they're moderately exposed, but we'll see how it looks. That clicks in there. Very loose and wobbly. I'm not entirely convinced that I like that. That one and that one as well. So yeah, that doesn't bode very well for me. That doesn't. I might have to see about doing something about that. But anyway, then we're breaking out the single solitary washer that we have. I should actually cut this bag open. It's not got a conveniently perforated bit like the others. Taking that washer out and using the big screw. Putting that on the screw Finding my screwdriver again. And that is going into the bottom hole there and holding that securely in place, though I don't think it's going anywhere anyway. Tighten that down. Lots of extras this time. We've got 3 of those black screws extra up here. Not sure, we only used 2 of them. So why have they given us 5? It seems like a strange, you know, strange thing to give us lots of, unless it does say you got 5 of them. It does indeed say that there are a collection of them. 3 of those. I actually got 5 of those, but I don't know, I was 2 by 5, so yeah, for some reason I got an extras in there. I'm not going to complain about getting extra bits. Right, and that is stage complete. This is obviously the top of the leg where that fits in, so that's meant to be loose. But yeah, the rest of that's obviously the front of the leg, so they're going to be at the back, and yeah, I think that's going to need some attention. I won't bother doing anything with it yet until, I say, some more is assembled. There may be something else happening to that to make it better, but I think that might need some work. But that's the stage complete. That's the building complete for this week. I shall continue on and have a flick through the rest of the magazine as I do, to see what they're going to be telling us about this week. And this week they're talking about Batman, The Dark Knight. Yeah, I've definitely seen that film. There we go. More about that. And then we're talking about mass surveillance. Some sort of listening device, keywords and human operators. So yeah, that's the sort of Amazon type Google Hub thing. Yep, there we go, talking about that. And that's it for this issue. As ever, we will be back. In next week, we are adding heel detail and assembling foot parts. I think foot parts might be a technical term, I'm not sure. But yes, there we go. We'll see how it all comes together, because say it might get better, it might not. I doubt it will, but it might. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And if not, we're model makers. We can come up with something like we did on the other ones, fitting internal tubes and things. So yeah, not worrying about it at the moment. Thank you for watching. That was issue 68. 69 shall be coming along very shortly. So I'll leave you to continue, build your own. If you're building, let me know in the comments. There's notes in the comments to, you know, that's what it's there for. Let me know what's going on. Join the Gross group. Send me pictures on Facebook of builds and models and things. Not other pictures, but yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you soon for issue 69. Stay safe, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.